If someone has told you that Liverpool would enter this season without a traditional number 9 and would still be top of the league by October, you'd probably laugh, right? Well, believe it or not, that is exactly what's happening right now. You're probably wondering, but what about Diogo Jota? Isn't he the striker we've been relying on for most of our matches? Sure, if you check the starting lineup, the Portuguese forward appears to be spearheading the front line every time he starts. But what's happening on the pitch tells a different story. The clues have been there since the pre-season tour, where Arne Slot opted not to use a classic forward to lead the attack, instead employing a more unconventional setup to generate chances. Many thought Slot was just experimenting at that point, especially with our forwards still unavailable for selection, but in reality, he was already trying something he wanted to use in the season. And that's exactly what we're breaking down today, as we dive into how Slot is using Diogo Jota in an unorthodox role and how, in return, the Portuguese has been crucial in making the system work. But first guys, as always, please do smash that like button and subscribe to the channel for more Liverpool deep dives. So guys, we want you to have a quick glance at this picture right here. This was our first pre-season friendly against Real Betis. Now it's true that both Darwin Núñez and Diogo Jota were unavailable for selection in that earlier game, which led Slot to field Dominic Szoboszlai and Harvey Elliott as two advanced number 8s instead of using a traditional number 9. But let's fast forward to our recent win against Crystal Palace. Jota was back on the pitch, supposedly playing as our number 9, and yet we can see that the shape used against Betis wasn't just a response to missing key players. In the Palace game, we set up in a familiar 4-2-4 formation from goal kicks, though you could argue Alisson was acting as a situational third centre-back. The fullbacks tucked in deep and narrow, the double pivot players held their ground in midfield, and both wingers stayed wide to stretch the play. What's most interesting is the positioning of two players operating almost as dual number 10s or even 8s, given how deep they were dropping. Those two, Curtis Jones and, you guessed it, Diogo Jota. Typically a number 9 stays high and central, looking to occupy both centre-backs and create space for the wide players to exploit. But under Arne Slot, Jota's role is a bit different. If you check the 27-year-old's heat map this season, you'll notice he's spending much more time in the left half space and even drifting out to the left wing, rather than positioning himself as the central focal point. Now of course, Diogo Jota isn't Erling Haaland. He's not even Darwin Núñez, as both of the players we mentioned have the edge over the Portuguese in terms of height and physicality. But that's not the only reason Arne Slot isn't using Jota as a traditional winger. As we all know by now, Slot's Liverpool like to build out patiently from the back, luring the opposition into pressing to open up passing lanes and angles. We saw this clearly against Manchester United, Bournemouth and Crystal Palace in recent games. Van Dijk and Konate often put their studs on the ball, taking multiple touches and disguising their passes cleverly to bait the press and then pass the ball forward. Typically, the first receiver is Ryan Gravenberch, who's brilliant at receiving on the half turn to evade markers and break into space. But what happens when Gravenberch is tightly marked and can't receive the ball easily? This is where Diogo Jota comes in. Freed from the typical number 9 role, Jota has the freedom to roam to the left side or drop deeper into midfield, and it's safe to say that this movement isn't causing absolute chaos for the opposition's defenses. So let's dive into how exactly that's happening, shall we? So far this season, Jota has averaged 23.33 passes received per 90 minutes, placing him in the 88th percentile among Premier League strikers. This shows how available he is for his teammates, always offering himself as a passing option, which means he's rarely tightly marked. And again, this freedom comes from his constant movement and roaming. This video is sponsored by Manscaped, the global men's lifestyle brand that is revolutionizing the world of men's grooming. Today, we want to take a specific look at the Lawnmower 5000. With the Lawnmower 5000, Manscaped have taken grooming precision to a whole new level. First, the upgraded trimmer blades features longer, wider, and rounded teeth that cut through hairs with ease. Tough on hair, yet incredibly gentle on the skin. Say goodbye to those endless passes. It's all about getting it right the first time. And now let's talk about illumination. We've all been there, navigating those tricky spots with nothing but hope and prayer. But fear not, because Manscaped has heard our grooming cries and answered with a bigger LED light. Those hard to reach areas, consider them perfectly lit and ready for their close-up. The Lawnmower 5000 Ultra from Manscaped is not just an advancement, it's a revolution. Join the 10 million men, including myself worldwide, who've put their confidence in Manscaped for all things grooming and hygiene. If my math adds up, we're looking at around 20 million balls here. Head over to manscaped.com and get your hands on the Lawnmower 5000 today. When you use my promo code LFC20, you'll get 20% off and free international shipping at checkout. That's 20% off plus free shipping with promo code LFC20 at manscaped.com. Trust me when I say this, fellas, your balls will thank you. Anyway, let's get back into the video. By dropping deep during the build-up phase, Jota helps create a numerical advantage in central areas. Think of it like Trent inverting into midfield, but instead of a fullback moving in, it's the number 9 dropping back. Once our defenders draw the opposition's press and open up passing lanes, they can play direct balls into central areas with Jota and Szoboszlai as targets, not just as our number 6. This up, back and through pattern is something we've seen consistently under Slot. Jota with his skill set is perfect for laying off those back passes to the pivots or fullbacks before bursting forward to attack the final third. In fact, we take a look at Jota's numbers from the last 2 games against Palace and Wolves. He's actually passed the ball backwards more often than forward. This highlights his role in helping to create those transitional moments after baiting the press, laying the ball off to teammates and keep the play moving. It's also worth noting that when he occupies central areas, Jota can be on the receiving end of passes from wide players, whether it's from wingers or fullbacks. This provides yet another key access point for progressing the ball through the middle of the pitch. But it doesn't stop there. Jota also ranks in the high 88th percentile for progressive passes received, averaging 6.41 per 90 minutes. So what does this tell us? Well, beyond just being a key target for progressive passes from the centre-backs, Jota's pace, smart positioning, and movement also allows him to run the channels and get on the end of through balls into half spaces. By initially dropping deep, Jota pulls away from his markers, and with the help of his teammates pinning defenders in place, he's able to burst forward into open spaces. This creates a dynamic where he can break through the opposition's back line and bring the rest of the team higher up the pitch. His timing and awareness in these moments are crucial to stretching defenses and maintaining Liverpool's fluid attacking play. So obviously Jota is helping the system function properly, but what does he get in return? Well, this freedom is exactly what is making Diogo so dangerous this season. As we mentioned in our recent Tiny Tweaks video, it's all about the system benefiting the players and vice versa. While Jota adds that numerical advantage in midfield and contributes to the build-up phase, he's being rewarded with the freedom to roam in the final third, sensing when to get into goal-scoring positions. His goal against Crystal Palace is the perfect example of this. He lingered on the edge of the box, then timed his run perfectly to meet Cody Gakpo's cross, and had he had not narrowly missed another ball, Jota could have added another goal by once again positioning himself cleverly in the box. His ability to read the game and take advantage of these moments is what makes him such a key threat in this system. Although it's still early days, you can already spot the difference in Jota's shot map compared to last season. This time around, he's taking more shots from closer range, right around the penalty area. In contrast, last season he was mostly firing from just inside the box. This shift shows how his positioning and role has evolved, allowing him to get into more dangerous, high percentage shooting areas. It's a subtle but significant change that highlights how Jota is benefiting from his new responsibilities and freedom in the new system. The numbers also show that Jota's average shot distance has dropped slightly, from 12.30 yards to 11.70. While the difference might seem minor, especially this early into the season, it still reflects Arne Slot's preference for taking shots from more optimal scoring positions. It also highlights how Jota's 3 roaming role in the final third is putting him in better spots to aim at goal. Now, setting aside his in-possession work, we also have to acknowledge Jota's brilliant contribution off of the ball. In the 4-2-4 shape without possession, Jota acts as one of the 2 strikers alongside Dominic Szoboszlai. And let's be clear, both players are relentless workers. The fiery Portuguese ranks highly in metrics like dribble dribbler challenges, interceptions, and most importantly, tackles in the middle and final thirds. This shows his strong involvement in pressing and tracking back into midfield to help regain possession, making him a key asset not just to the attack, but also in Liverpool's defensive efforts. Now, before we finish our video off, there's one more thing we need to highlight, which is an area where Jota's game has been lacking lately, and that's his lethal finishing, something we all know he's capable of. So far, the Portuguese forward has scored just 2 goals from an XG of 2.72. While that doesn't scream underperformance, Jota currently leads the Liverpool squad and sits third in the Premier League for most big chances missed, with 5. Only Dominic Solanke, Kai Havertz, and Ollie Watkins have missed more. Of course, getting into more dangerous areas and better scoring positions naturally leads to more missed chances. It's a numbers game. We can't expect him to convert every opportunity that comes his way. But what we can expect is once Jota sharpens his finishing, his goal tally will rise, and he will be even more clinical in the league. So what do you think of Jota's performance so far this season? Are you convinced by this hybrid number 9, number 10 role he's playing? Do you expect to rotate between Darwin and Jota based on the opposition, using the different profiles to adapt to each match? Let us know your thoughts in the comment section below, and if you enjoyed today's video, why not subscribe to the channel for more Liverpool deep dives? Thank you, I'll see you all next time. Take care.